Coach test 1 2 3. Coach test 1 2 3. 1 1 2 3. Player 1. Player 2 1 2 3. Player 2. Okay, we have the WKU Hilltoppers, head coach Rick Stansberry, and student athletes Charles Bassey and Jared Savage. We will begin with an opening statement from Coach.
Well, congratulations to Coach Jones and Old Dominion. They've been the best team all year long. That's why they won the league, and again, they found a way to do it today. Neither team was very good offensively, and I thought the difference in the game was just Green. Green, I think out of their 22 possessions second half, I think we had stopped them 16 of the 22 and got the lead. Then I think Green from that point on scored, I think, 14 points to kind of separate that thing. Hit 2 huge threes, and again, when you make some threes late in the game, sometimes it's tough to overcome. We didn't shoot it particularly well. We go, and that's being kind about it. We're 2 for 12 3-point line second half. And then just the free throws. We go 11 for 18 the second half, free throw line. That's a bad stat. when you lose by 6. Missing free throws is part of it. But again, you got to be those little small margins for error, just not much. And again, congratulations to Old Dominion. They got a really good team.
Questions for our student athletes in the back.
Jared, first of all, thanks for coming in. I thought the effort, maybe the shots weren't going in, I thought the effort of both teams was intense. It was very good. Did you feel like you were playing in a game with a lot of intensity?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Whenever you play a team like that, they're tough, they're rough, they're going to bump you around, so you got to bring that energy. And I don't think we brought it the first half. I think we showed a little bit the second half, and we made a little run, but it wasn't enough.
Charles, is this the kind of game you expected against Old Dominion, this kind of low scoring and, just a physical type game?
What you mean?
Is this the kind of game, like a low scoring physical game that you expected when you played Old Dominion?
I mean, we've played them twice. They played the same way. They played tough. I mean, just gotta bring our best game. So I mean, like you said, we didn't do a good job second half, but I think we didn't do a good job first half. But I think we did a pretty good job second half, but it wasn't enough.
Jared, just offensively, what do you think some of the struggles were, especially in the second half?
We just couldn't make a shot. I mean, that's as simple as that. We couldn't put it in the basket. We was guarding. We got stops. Like he said, we got stops, but we just couldn't put it in the baskets. There's no big key to it. It's just that.
Charles, there were a couple of times I thought you guys as a team defended very, very well, and they made 2 shots with the shot clock about to expire, and I thought you guys defended it well. Did you feel like those were big shots late in the game?
Yeah, because I mean, like Coach said, every time we gotta watch the clock. You understand? We gotta realize that it's 5 seconds remaining. I just gotta to communicate with each other and just know when it's time to just get on the player and just get the ball back. So I mean, we didn't do a good job that time, but I mean, so that's it.
Jared, when you look at the season, what will your reflections be on it? I mean, I know you guys came out with a lot of expectations and you got really close to the tournament. What kind of reflections are you going to have when you look back at this season?
We had a lot of ups and downs this season. I mean, we overcame some adversity, all kinds of different adversity, but I mean, I think we grew as a family in that locker room in there, and I'm just glad that them guys are my teammates.
Charles, same question. What are your reflections going to be on this season?
I mean, like you said, ups and downs, winning games, losing games, winning tough games, losing tough games. And just like this one today, we're gonna remember that every time as a team. So I mean, that's it.
Charles, how did this season help you grow as both a person and a player at your first season of college basketball?
I mean, maturity, understand. I mean, I mature as a player, understand. I have a teammates that teach me, learn from teammates, learn from coaches, learn the good stuff, the good ways, and just it was a good season for me, and I think for my teammates too.
And although you guys didn't end up pulling out the win, the WKU had a great fan turnout throughout this tournament. How much fun was it to kind of have all that fan support throughout this game? And it seemed like you guys just kind of rode the momentum throughout the certain points of that game, even though you weren't able to kind of pull it out in the end.
I mean, it was good, just like we say. Our friends bring good energy in the stand. Home games, away games, throughout the season. So, I mean, big shout out to them. So, I mean, they did a really good job this season. So, I mean, that was great. And they always bring a great atmosphere every time when we play games.
Charles, what are these next couple months going to be like for you? Are you going to try to put your name in the draft and go through that process, or are you still trying to make those decisions?
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that yet. So, just right now, just building my team yet.
Jared, you talked about the season, there were ups and downs. And I realize just a few minutes after this game has ended, but tonight's game, what do you think as a team it's important to learn from this tonight to carry into next season?
I mean, I think for me, it's being in this game and losing. I mean, like some people were here last year and they was in this game and lost, and they know that feeling. So, I mean, we just got to know the feeling again next year, and we don't want that feeling again next year, just to work that much harder.
All right, we'll let Jared and Charles get back to the locker room, and we'll continue with questions for Coach.
Coach, you heard the question I asked Charles, those 2 shots that were late in the shot clock. I think at least one of them was by Green, and if not both, but in your opening statement, you talked about his shots in the second half. Just how much were those daggers?
Well, Mike, you've heard me talk about this a lot. Winning and losing is a fine line. You know, I think we took a 3-point lead in that second half about 10 minutes ago. Is that right? Is that correct, Zach? We took a 3-point lead. All right. For sure, there was 2 shot clock plays with Green. There was one over in front of their bench, just scrambling. We probably fouled him, truth's known, and throws it in. You know, teams that win in advance, they make those kind of plays. He makes one over across from their bench. A huge play, 3-point play. Green was the guy, they weren't scoring no better than we were. Like I said, I think we stopped them 16 out of the first 22 possessions in the second half to go up 3 points. I mean, we're guarding. Well, you come down the other end, we're not as efficient as we have to be. And then that free throw line now, I don't know how many, I know we're 11 for 18 in the second half. How many of those were one-on-ones? I don't know. But when you go 11 for 18, there's probably at least 2 or 3 of them one-on-ones. You know, that's a hard stat to overcome sometimes when you're in a grind-out one-possession game. And as you say, it's a fine line. He jumped up and made some shots, some tough shots. We didn't make some shots as well as we have to. Give them some credit defensively. You know, Josh, I think, was 4 for 13. You know, he got a bigger, stronger guy guarding him going to that rim. You know, he couldn't always get that rim. When he didn't get to the rim, they made it tough on him finishing shots. Tavion had one of those games that we don't need him to have because we struggle when we don't get some easier points from that perimeter. I think he's 2 for 10 from the perimeter, 0 for 3 from that foul line. Again, we need some easier baskets from those 2s or 3s. That's why it was such a grind game. We still had our opportunities. Again, like I said, give them opportunity to step up and making plays.
You talked all season about how nothing came easy for you offensively. It's just game just kind of illustrate that. You struggle sometimes.
Well, again, give them some credit too. They're a really good defensive team. It's been no secret we're not the best shooting team in the country, and we haven't been the best passing team in the country. Those two things are sometimes, really hard to overcome when it's a grind game. They made it tough on you. We didn't get just a lot of open looks consistently. And again, compared to the way you moved the ball last year, the ball just didn't move as well. Couldn't get as many easy baskets. Couldn't get Charles. Charles is, in that post as much. It had to be an easy game for us. We were best in transition. Getting stops, getting out in transition when that game was a little bit loose. And again, we found ways in a lot of games to win. But I say when Tavion and Josh, both of them, don't score the way we need them to score, it's really a tough game. 56 points. They don't get to 62 points. I mean, we defend them plenty well. 62 points. We got to score better. And again, just can't leave as many free throws lay there. As simple as it sounds. Simple as it sounds. What were we last night in free throw line? Anybody remember? 19 for 24? Is that correct stat from last night? One of them nights. But shot it with a high percentage.
24 of 34.
What was it?
24 of 34.
Last night?
Yep.
What was it first night? Remember? Anyway, shot them high percentages. That's a low percentage to shoot right there. And like I say, some of those are one-on-ones. Yes, sir.
Coach, what's your biggest takeaway from this tournament and the season as a whole?
Well, listen, I think it's well documented. There were some things that probably for sure didn't go our way. We knew we were a new team, needed some experience, needed to add some toughness from last year's team. It was basically 2 starters back. So, I know one guy we thought could help us, didn't pan out for us. Then we lose a guy with some energy and some toughness for most of the season. Conference play was Merrick. We got him back now, but, he's a shell of what he was. So we didn't have a lot of depth, a lot of experience, not a lot of, leadership and toughness that we depended on in some areas. And then you compound that with a little bit of inconsistent point guard play that started with a lot of different ways. As we know, we've played 5 different point guards. Monte wasn't eligible, and we experimented with a lot of different things. So that made us have some inconsistencies. But still through all that, this team found a way to go beat West Virginia. Go beat West Virginia, go beat Wisconsin, go to Arkansas and win, beat St. Mary's, and find a way again to put himself in this championship with all those things. And I'll promise you, we take no moral victories away from here being in this championship game. None. But there's a lot of teams like to be here. And I think you all understand this. West Kentucky's always going to be a team compete for this. Now, we want to find a way to win it. And winning and losing is a fine line. It's a fine line. I'll say it again. Give Old Dominion credit. They made plays when they had to make plays.
You expect to have Charles back next year?
You know, I'm not even going to talk a lot about that. I think you guys have watched enough about it. You know, we'll settle down here and see. Y'all have kind of watched him play and grow. But we'll sit down and visit with it and figure out what's best for him when time's right.
Any
Yes, sir.
thoughts about the NIT or CBI maybe, or?
Well, I haven't even thought about it. It wasn't our thoughts, wasn't our plans. We'll see what happens from here on out.
We'll finish in the back.
Mike, go ahead.
Rick, I thought your players just played their hearts out. I thought their intensity was outstanding. Do you think, though, down the stretch, some of ODU's experience showed when you talk about that fine line? Do you think experience was one of those examples?
Well, Mike, again, we're not going to use things for excuse, but those are things that you got to find ways to overcome. Effort wasn't liking tonight. I mean, we left it between the lines. Does that mean we played perfect? Doesn't mean you always play good. Doesn't mean you always make an easy pass. Does it always mean you make free throws? No. But the effort wasn't part of it. You know, it's well documented. They're a very experienced team, and they played like that. They played, you know, Caver with that ball in his hands, made plays for Green. Hit a big jump shot right in that lane over top of Charles, didn't he? Big plays. You know, sometimes, you know, I'll never use inexperience for excuse, but it's very obvious. You know, there's no substitute for experience. Absolutely no substitute for it. And again, they were the best team. They beat us 3 times this year.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, we have the Conference USA champions, the Old Dominion Monarchs, with a 62-56 victory tonight. We have head coach Jeff Jones, the MVP of the tournament, Xavier Green, and Ahmad Caver. And we'll begin with an opening statement from Coach.
Great feeling. After the game, I was kind of just sitting off to the side, watching these guys, seeing the joy in their faces and knowing how daggone hard they've worked for so long. You know, at times our basketball team, we can be a mess at the offensive end, but they don't allow that to affect us in any of the effort categories. And what these guys do, what they have done all year long, is continue to fight, never panic, never give up on one another, and stick together. And you know that may sound like I don't know, Pollyanna-ish sentiment, but that's what has allowed us to get through as many close games we've had this year. And you know, tonight was no different. Western Kentucky is an outstanding team. You know, a lot of people, you know, are of the mind that it's tough to beat a team three times in a season. I just simply said, well, Rick would know because they beat us 3 times last year. We knew it was going to be a battle. The first 2 games in regular season were hard-fought, close games, and we knew it was going to be like this. And our guys didn't blink. We were comfortable in this kind of game, and it's just terrific to be able to win and again see the joy on these guys' face.
All right, we will go to questions for our student athletes. Please raise your hand.
David, it looked like you got any shot you wanted all tournament, and including this game. What did you see in the way Western Kentucky was defending you, and how did you attack them?
I really don't know, honestly. I think they were just defending me. I think they didn't think I was that good for real. So I just showed them that I can play and I can hoop.
In front.
You guys hadn't had a bucket for like 5 or 6 minutes, and you got that and one. So that kind of guy, you scored I think 9 straight. Did that kind of get you going? Did you feel a need to kind of to get something moving offensively?
I knew I had to make plays. I knew I had to do something to keep our team going, get a spark going offensively. I knew they were all ganging up on Ahmad and BJ, so I knew that I had to come in and do something.
Ahmad looked like they were explosive in spurts, like they always are. How do you kind of play through that? You guys were just tough consistently. They had some moments where they were, you know, they're explosive. How do you kind of just go on to the next play?
Just try to stay poised. As a senior point guard and a leader on the team, I just try to tell them that we all right. If they hit a tough shot, good defense, and then try to just keep grinding. We did that all year. You can see from the first 2 games, the tournament that we had, we just stuck in there and kept trying to grind and kept trying to get rebounds or a defensive stop or something like that. So I just kept telling them that we all right. It's winning time when it's under like 5 minutes, and we've been there before. So I think me, BJ, our leadership definitely showed towards the end, and we got out with the win.
Second row. Go ahead.
For both players, you're in the NCAA tournament. How does that feel? Has it hit you?
Nah, it didn't hit me yet. I think it's gonna hit me probably later when I get in the shower or something when I'm by myself, or when I talk to my mom or something like that. I think it'll hit me, but
it's all over when you talk to your mom. You're crying like a baby.
Yeah, so I mean, it hasn't hit me yet. I don't think.
How about you?
Definitely didn't hit me yet. Especially when I go home. It's definitely gonna hit me when I go home.
Ahmad, what impact do you think Elbert had early, kind of setting a tone for you guys?
That's my roommate on the road, and both of us couldn't sleep at all before the game or last night or anything. But he was ready. He was ready for the challenge. He knew he was gonna have to play a big role, even though he played 14 minutes. But he knew that when he got in, he was gonna have to make something work, and he did it. I'm proud of him. His last school gave up on him, but we didn't. We gave him another chance, and he stuck with us throughout the whole year through ups and downs, and I'm very proud of him.
All right.
Did you feel like you had a target on your back going into this tournament? You're the conference champs, and you had two really tough games. What was that like?
I think what preseason we wasn't talked about winning this tournament or winning the league. I feel like other teams thought that we didn't deserve the #1 spot. So I mean, with that just came with motivation. That the last 2 games of the regular season, I think that made other teams believe that they can beat us, and they gave us their best shot. But we just stuck together, and we made things happen.
All right, we'll let Ahmad and Xavier get back to the locker room to celebrate with their teammates, and we'll continue with questions for Coach.
Coach, what were your thoughts after you lost those last 2 games coming into the tournament?
Well, we weren't happy about it, but it wasn't time to panic. There were a few, I think, pretty simple things that we had to correct. But I think the biggest thing was, and not that we allowed it to happen, in fact, we tried to fight against it. I think we let our pedal off the gas a little bit. We knew, at least in the back of our minds, that we had clinched. I mean, we clinched with 2 games to go, I guess, and UAB and Southern Miss were still playing for seeding, and so they just outworked us, and that hadn't happened very much. That did give me an opportunity to raise a little hell with them, and had some tough film sessions. But I wouldn't. I mean, nobody panicked. Nobody was like, oh no, we're not a good team. We knew. I mean, look, we could have won those last 2 games, and still had just as hard a time in this tournament. It's been that way for us. It's been that way in this league all year long. If you take a big, the big view of this conference. It's a very different conference this year than it's been since certainly I've been a part of it. It was more. I don't like parity, but there, every game seemed to be just an absolute dogfight, and we showed that we were a team that could consistently win close games, yeah, Harry?
Jeff, it's been a while since ODU's gone to the NCAA tournament, and I know you had talked prior to this tournament that you wanted to go, not just for yourself and your players, but for other people. Can you talk a little bit about what do you think this means for the ODU community?
Well, I think it's great, and there are a lot of people, a lot of different, not factions. That's not the right word, but entities, that I'm happy for. But I will say for it's the tournament or nothing crowd, I'm still not there, and that's still a bunch of garbage. We've been very successful without making it to the tournament. It's not easy to go to the tournament, and for mid-majors in conferences like Conference USA, it's getting harder every year. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I'm rooting like hell for Belmont and Lipscomb and Utah State and all of those, but it's harder. So, with the success that we've had, we're very proud of that. But the one threshold that we hadn't crossed, was getting to the tournament, and we knew we needed to get there. And fortunately for us, we kicked in the door today. That doesn't diminish what has happened in past years, but it sure as heck puts a big star, a big check mark on getting to the tournament. I mean, that's where everybody wants to be.
You guys had to come from behind the first 2 games and didn't really need to do that tonight. What was the key to kind of just more of a 40-minute effort, I guess?
I don't think we ran into a time when our defense wasn't a factor. In the first 2 games, it was Bracy in the first game, and it was Perry and Bell and Bryant yesterday. I thought we had a good handle on the game from a defensive perspective. We allowed them We had a couple live ball turnovers that allowed them to get out in transition. There were a couple of second chance points, and we just said, look, we're not going to be perfect, but if we can cut both of those totals in half, we can kind of still be in there. And then, we were just very methodical, I thought, during the course of the game. Harry, sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent in answering your question before. Look, all the fans, right? Wood Selig and John Broderick, who gave me 6 years ago this opportunity. I'm really happy for them. I mean, there's a lot of folks that have supported us, and it's not just about the team, right? It's about, as you said, people in the community. We get great support from not just from Norfolk, but the overall Tidewater community. And so I'm happy, I'm thrilled, especially for the players, but there's lots of different folks, and John Broderick is right there. I mean, he's been great. Wood, I couldn't ask for a better boss than Wood Selig. We can't ask for better fans than what we have. So it's about all of us. It's not one or the other. It's a whole big Monarch Nation that I'm really happy that we're able to do this, and I haven't even started thinking yet, but we're going to get a chance to play another game. That's kind of a cool thing.
In the back.
Xavier was really big in the last 2 times you played Western, especially with the 3-point line, and then obviously MVP in this tournament. What can you say about just this tournament and just the way he's shown up against this team?
We've seen glimpses of that of Xavier, but he hasn't been able to be as consistent. I think there were moments in the Western Kentucky game. The second Western Kentucky game was really big. We saw a couple other games after that, I think. Maybe it was before that, but obviously in this tournament, I think he grew up a little bit, and he had to. He really responded. He and BJ had really struggled in those last 2 regular season games. There was no way that we were going to continue to win with both of those guys struggling. Xavier took it upon himself. We didn't have any special meetings or anything. He took it upon himself. He got in the gym a little bit extra, and he asserted himself. And the more aggressive he looked, the more I called plays. And probably the number of plays, the way it was distributed in this tournament was was more equal than it had been all through the season. We wanted to go to BJ. We wanted to try to get him going, but we needed to win the game. And Xavier was the one that had the favorable matchups and was feeling aggressive and feeling good about himself. But having said that, there were a couple plays down the stretch that had nothing to do with any set calls or set plays. Xavier took the ball, and he essentially took the game over and made the big, the timely buckets.
On the right.
Yeah. Coach, Ahmad talked a little bit about Elbert's contribution. What did that mean with the job that he did with Bassey, especially in the first half?
Huge. I mean, it was a hell of a time for him to play his best game of the year. He battled. I mean, that big body, I thought, and you have to. And we don't have one guy that could go up against Bassey. I mean, Bassey is such a warrior and such a workhorse. He wears people down. But we wanted to throw multiple bodies at him. And Elbert played only 14 minutes, but it was an efficient 14 minutes. 3 for 3 doesn't sound like a whole lot, but for our center position, that's huge. We were getting, in those last 2 regular season games you referenced earlier, we were getting 0 points from that spot. And for him to do that, and Kalu got a couple, every little bit helps because, especially if BJ's struggling, we're not shooting a great percentage, trying to get somebody else contributing offensively. So Elbert was terrific. He banged in there with Bassey, took that one charge. I think, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but that was the first one he had all year long. But it's great. He stood in there and he took it. He didn't blink.
Last question from Harry.
You choked up after the game, and I'm wondering if that is at all because of the personal struggles, health struggles you've had.
Yeah, that certainly contributed to it. And I think just the cumulative effect of having good seasons and falling short I think that as well. You know, it's been a great year thus far, but it hasn't been an easy year for both personal and professional reasons. And I think just at the conclusion of the game, you know, the emotion just overwhelmed me for a little bit.
Thank you, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.